What's up guys, Zenigami here, and let's go through the brand new characters on a Japanese One Piece Rare Cruise. It's been a while since I've done one of these batch reviews, so we're not only going to go over Judge, Super Evolution Batch, that's 6+ Judge and all of the 5+ kids, but we're also going to go over the brand new version 2 Sanji, and gonna go through Sanji's batch that includes Zeph, Pudding, Baron's Tamago, Peckham's, and we're gonna go over Cracker, Raid Boss, and 6+ Magellan, and Charlotte Coliseum. So we have a lot of characters to go over. We're just going to go over all of them and talk about what they do, and how good they are, and what we're going to be using them for. So if you haven't caught up with the 6+ Judge batch, 6+ Judge, basically every single character changes colors, and every single one, except for the Green Ranger, changes what they do. So Judge is now he's still powerhouse driven. He's now purple instead of yellow. His captain ability boosts the rate of int orbs, reduces damage taken by 15%, and boosts health by 1.25 times if you have one of every single color character on your team. He makes badly matching orbs count as matching for all characters and boosts your attack by 4 times, basically if they have matching orb, or 2.25 times otherwise. So without a matching orb, 2.25 times attack booster, still boosts your health, still reduces damage taken, still makes badly matching orbs count as matching, which is huge, and it gives you a 4 times attack boost. The biggest thing about this badly matching orbs count as matching is that if the enemies give you a debuff, that will always take precedence. So if an enemy says like psi orbs count as badly matching, your int character with psi orbs on it will still have badly matching orbs. Your psi character with psi orbs will still have badly matching orbs. Everyone with a psi orb will still have badly matching orbs. Any beneficial matching debuff will always win over passive buffs and sailor abilities. But that 4 times attack boost is really, really big, and you have a lot of good ways of getting that 4 times attack boost. Especially since he is driven, you can use him alongside a version 2 Dofi friend captain to get tons of matching orbs. Dofi lowering your rate of red orbs, making blue and green orbs count as matching. So yeah, blue orbs count as matching, green orbs count as matching, badly matching orbs count as matching, and whatever sailor abilities count as matching. You basically can have tons of matching orbs for a Judge Dofi driven team. His sailor abilities, which will not work when he's a captain, always remember that sailors do not work when they're captains. Boost attack and health of powerhouse by 60 and resists paralysis on himself. His special ability goes from being one of the better psi orb boosters in the game to reducing your damage taken by 30% for 2 turns. Not that large of a damage reduction, but it is something there in case you need it if you have to burst over multiple turns. Boost attack of fighter driven and powerhouse characters by 2 times for 1 turn if he is your captain or friend captain, shuffles all your orbs, including block orbs, into int orbs. So whereas Judge, just 6 version Judge, shuffled your orbs, and you could have randomly gotten psi orbs. Now he's going to give you full int orbs if he is your captain or friend captain. As a sailor, he's still a 30% damage reducer for 2 turns and 2 times attack booster for fighter driven and powerhouse. So with Beige, we're going to be going from int to psi. Every single kid is gonna go from their weak type to from their strong type to their weak type. So whatever type they were weak against, that's what color they are now. So Beige, who used to be purple, is now a yellow character. Captain ability boosts attack of psi by 225 and powerhouse characters by 1.4 times. So if you have a psi powerhouse team, she'll give everyone a 3.15 times attack, which is pretty nice. Also boosts recovery by a little bit, but who cares? Sailor ability makes int orbs beneficial for herself, which basically doesn't work, or doesn't really do anything if she is a sailor on a Judge team, but if she's a sailor on another team, she does make int orbs count as matching for herself. Reduces silence on herself by 3 turns still, because limit breaks have not changed. Her special ability, though, has changed. Her special ability now, if your captain is int or psi, so it still works with old Judge, reduces crew's attack down and silence duration by 3 turns, and toxics everybody. That's the same kind of toxic that Magellan does. If your captain is a powerhouse character, boost attack against enemies with toxic by 1.75 times for 1 turn. So Beige is now our third Toxic character, and she will Toxic by 20 times. That doubles every turn and goes up to 500,000 damage per turn. So she is the weakest Toxic that we have in the game, but she is still another form of Toxic, which does matter quite a bit with new 6+ Magellan, but we'll talk about 6+ Magellan whenever we get there. We have the new Red Ranger, who was weak to blue characters, so now he's blue, which is very, very confusing. I know I still have a hard time remembering which characters are which colors. He is a powerhouse fighter quick character. Boost attack of quick, boost powerhouse attack. Same thing as Beige, but now for blue. Whoops, his note's still old Ichiji note. That should say blue, not red. His Sailor ability makes int orbs count as beneficial for himself and boost attack of all characters by 50. His special ability, if you have a blue or purple captain, boosts orb effect by 2 times for 1 turn. If your captain is powerhouse, reduces damage taken buff by 3 turns. Increased damage taken buff isn't too prevalent. You don't see this one too often. We actually see it most often whenever you're using a special that inflicts that upon yourself. So if you're using something like old Apu special to boost damage, old Coliseum Apu to boost damage and also increase your damage taken, you can use Ichiji to get rid of it. But I'm sure there's going to be some fight in the future that increases damage taken, so that way we really want to get rid of it. But this isn't a buff that is too common. But the 2 times orb boost, if you have a blue or purple captain, is pretty easy to get to and pretty nice. Then we have the new Blue Ranger, who is now green. Same thing as before. Straightforward. His special ability still has int orbs. They all have int orbs count as beneficial now, so they all work with sailors on Judge. If your captain is green or purple, locks chain multiplier by 275 times for 2 turns. If your captain is powerhouse, reduces attack up and enrage buffs by 3 turns. So a 275 times 2 turn chain modifier is pretty great. That is huge chain modifier. Not as large as 3 times on like Rayleigh, but 275 for 2 turns especially is really good. That's Blue Ranger got a huge buff there with his. The Green Ranger actually basically hasn't changed much. The Green Ranger used to have a Sabo style special effect, and he still has a Sabo style special effect. If your captain is red or purple, gives damage to attack, or gives damage based on his attack power to your attacks for 1 turn, just like Raid Boss Sabo. If your captain's powerhouse, reduces enemies' % damage reduction and increased defense durations by 3 turns. So that is the rainbow and blue shield duration by 3 turns. This makes him really good. % damage reduction and both the blue and the rainbow shield reduction, we see those a ton, and having a reducer for that is really good. He is basically like an alternate version of Rare Recruit Strength Chopper that we can use now. Rare Recruit Strength Chopper also does very similar things. He's now red, does the same thing. It would be nice if one of the different color kids got that instead of the green / now Red Ranger. But having another character that we can use on teams to do that gives us more flexibility, so that's always nice. That's the last of the kids. Let's go over, before we get into Sanji, let's go over the new Magellan first, because I want to talk about the new Toxic. So Magellan, 6+ Magellan, is a Dex shooter striker character, same colors. He has some boosted stats, which is nice. His captain ability is almost exactly the same. His captain ability doesn't get more health, doesn't get more damage, does the same health cut, has the same requirements. Basically, nothing about his captain ability has changed, except now, if you do 300,000 damage to enemies in a turn, then he will poison all enemies. Now, this poison is not your mama's poison. This ain't no half times his attack poison. This is 50 times his attack poison, which is way stronger than any other poison that has ever existed in the game. The strongest poison until now was poison was always 0.5 times character's attack, basically only good for killing fixed damage enemies. There was strongly poison, which was a single target buff. It never applied to enemy teams. It only tied to one character. And this is now basically about 100,000 damage if you have his if you have him limit broken and max cotton candy. That's gonna be about 100,000 damage per turn as a poison. So you do 300,000 damage attack, they all start taking 100,000 damage every single turn. Now, something interesting that has basically never mattered before, but it's a mechanic that's existed in One Piece Treasure Cruise all this time, is that you can poison and toxic a character at the same time. So toxic being the special on Magellan, which still inflicts toxic. You can poison, that's weak poison, and toxic at the same time. When you do so, the poison doesn't do any damage. That basically didn't matter because even on the very, very first tick, toxic always dealt more damage than poison. But now, whenever you toxic a character, this toxic is actually weaker than the 100,000 damage poison at the start. So you have to keep that in mind, is that whenever you toxic a character with Magellan, even the weak ticking toxic is always going to beat out on the stronger ticking poison. So the toxic first starting out at, like, let's say we are not using this Magellan. Let's say we're using, like, Reiju, who will do less damage with her first tick of her toxic. That will win over the 100,000 damage from Magellan's special ability. Magellan's new special ability, still toxic, still heals. The toxic now goes up to 3 million damage every single turn, which is twice Raid Boss Magellan's max toxic damage. And now 50% more than old 6-star Magellan's toxic damage. Oh my goodness, 3 million damage per turn is so big. That's going to just skip over completely. Like, sometimes you would maybe have to do a little damage to attack something so that way you avoid an enemy's 20% damage. 3 million damage is gonna blow them out of the water, man. Nothing's gonna survive 3 million damage. That's like more health than most characters even have. Pretty great. If enemies have toxic or poison when you use a special, delay them for 1 turn. This does not automatically delay. Does not. So when you use Magellan special, if they are not already poisoned or toxic, all it does is apply the toxic and the heal just like before. Now, if they are already toxic or already poisoned, then he will also delay for 1 turn. So it gives you a reason for having a second Magellan to use or using Magellan special a secondary time. What you can do is you can attack, poison them, and then after that poison applies, then you use Magellan's special, so you get a delay and you apply the toxic. Just a little bit more thing to do with Magellan. I think this is a great 6+ version to Magellan. Would have liked to see a little extra damage boost, but instead of having a damage boost, having an extra 100,000 damage per turn is a pretty neat way of giving Magellan some better boosted damage as his captain. So kudos, good 6+ Bandai. We have Raid Boss Cracker. Raid Boss Cracker slaps the old Dex Rare Recruit law, the old G, the very first law in the game, takes that old law, slaps him around, says, get out of here, we don't need you anymore. See Cracker, the best Dex Orb manipulator in the game. Now, he is a boost attack and cerebral characters by 275 times, and boost their health by 1.25 times, so great captain ability for your cerebral type characters. Gonna be fighting with like Treasure Map Sabo as a pretty decent cerebral type booster, or for free to play characters, but amazing cerebral boost there. His special ability is a 2-stage special. Changes all orbs to Dex orbs, makes Dex orbs beneficial for all characters, and cuts enemies' health by 10 or 20 times that will pierce through barriers. So now we have a 20 times, and he also, at stage 2, reduces chain multiplier limit duration by 5 turns. Chain multiplier limit duration, which is going to matter when we talk about Sanji. We'll get into that in a bit. So he has a 20% piercing special. Very, very few characters have health cuts that also pierce, that being Blackbeard and Coliseum Luffy as the other characters that have piercing health cutting specials. And now Cracker gets to join that team, and fully matching orbs for your entire team, including block orbs, no matter what. Or if you have like a badly matching orb or something, he still at least is fully Dex orbs for your team. So if you have a full Dex team, you can use an orb locker so that way you keep those Dex orbs and continue on with them. Pretty absolutely amazing. Like, such a stupidly good orb manipulator. Think of how good this special is. Think of Legend Nekomamushi. Legend Nekomamushi special makes primary color orbs count as beneficial matching orbs for striker characters. That's it. Cracker is in every way better special than Legend Nekomamushi's special, because he gives you Dex orbs, so he gets rid of block orbs. He makes it matching for all characters and has a health cut. Great, amazingly great special. Now, there are people who are disappointed that he's not a dual character. Shut up, he's a great character. Love him. We have the new Coliseum character, Opera. Opera is a strength fighter-driven character. Boost fighter attack, boost fighter health. Special ability cuts the current health of each enemy by 20%. If you have 5 or more fighters, it reduces damage taken, blindness, and despair durations by 7 turns and delays for 1 turn. Honestly, not a super flashy character. The blindness duration it's okay. Blindness is something that you can kind of deal with at this point. You just kind of like deal with it. But blindness does matter with new Legend Sanji, just talking. Despair duration by 7 turn is pretty nice though. So let's talk about that new Legend Sanji, since I mentioned him a few times, right? Legend Sanji is a Psy powerhouse fighter. Alright, Sanji's a fighter, no surprise there. His stats are just temporary for now, that's gonna change. Sanji's captain ability gives a big old middle finger to the old Legend Rayleigh. Old Legend Rayleigh used to be boost your team's chain multiplier by 4 times. Sanji, if you have 4 fighters on your crew, boost chain multiplier by 4 times, and boost fighter attack by 1.75 times, and changes your crew's rate of matching orbs based on your health. So very interesting about this is that this is actually both good and bad. When you're at low health, he's actually going to reduce your rate of matching orbs. So at low health, he's going to reduce your rate of matching orbs. At high health, he's going to boost your rate of matching orbs. So if you have low health with Sanji, he's actually going to make it not good for you. It's going to be a little interesting like that. That 4 times chain multiplier with a 1.75 times attack boost basically means you're going to be doing 3 times as much damage with a double Sanji team versus a double Rayleigh team. Literally 3 times as much damage just by using 2 Sanjis versus using Rayleigh. Now, of course, just like any other chain multiplier captain, he is terribly, terribly, terribly destroyed by chain lock. If you have any enemy that locks your chain, absolutely, your damage is trash. It's floor absolute trash damage. Oh, Sanji actually doesn't boost matching rate of orbs at all. Sanji only ever lowers your rate of matching orbs. So at full health, Sanji just has normal orb matching rate, and then the lower your health goes, the lower your rate of matching orb goes. So he only lowers rates of matching orbs. So that is purely negative. You have to have 6 fighters, so you have to have a full fighter team in order for Sanji to work. Sanji's sailor abilities, remember, doesn't work when he's a captain, but very, very interesting. A new sailor ability that we're seeing now is boost attack against characters by 20%. So Sanji, as a sailor ability, does 20% extra damage to int characters, which is actually like a very significant amount of damage. 20% extra damage against int is huge. Better than crits on characters. And he makes int orbs beneficial for all fighter characters. So kind of like Treasure Map Cabbage, but for fighters. His special ability deals 150 times his attack and psi damage to 1 enemy, which is now the highest psi damage in the game, which matters with Big Mom. If you use him fully limit broken on a Big Mom's team, expect him to do 4 to 5 million damage to a single int character. Oh, that's nice. Double Big Mom Sanji, bam! 5 million damage to your int character. Get out of here. Easy stuff. That's nice. But even without using him as a sub on a Big Mom team, he's still good. If your health is above a certain percentage, probably 50%, it could be different. Boost the attack of fighter characters by 2.25 times for 1 turn. if he is your captain or friend captain, reduces chain multiplier limit and chain coefficient reduction by 10 turns. So basically the two big bad debuffs that you would get with Sanji Captain Sanji removes, that is actually incredibly important. Really nice to see Sanji getting rid of the very thing that makes it, that he's going to be weak against. But that's only if he's a captain friend captain, which is when you'd want to use that special anyways. So that's pretty great. Very strong fighter captain. Basically the best fighter captain we have in the game right now. Goodbye, Gear for Luffy. Although Gear for Luffy does work great as a sub on your Sanji team, giving you basically fully matching orbs for like 3 turns. Speaking of subs for Sanji, we're getting a new Zeph because Bandai is like, hey, remember that Zeph was a character? Let's make another one. Zeph is a strength fighter powerhouse. Captain ability, reduce cooldowns by 1 at the start. Boost attack of fighter by 2.25. Boost health by 1.2. His sailor ability, when anyone else uses a special, reduces his own cooldown by 3 turns. That's actually huge, because he goes down to a 8-turn cooldown, which means if you use his special on the mini-boss of a Coliseum, his special being if you have a fighter captain, boost color affinity to fighters for 1.75 times for 1 turn. Pretty big color affinity boost. If you use his special on stage 4 and attack, if the boss has a preemptive attack, you only need to use 2 other specials and you can use Zeph's special again. So Zeph's special is actually basically free. If you use him on stage 4 of a Coliseum, you're almost certainly using 2 specials on the Coliseum boss fight, and his special will be ready to go again. So the 3-turn cooldown reduction on an 8-turn special is really good. You're going to be using his special a lot of times. And his limit break special sailor ability is at 20% extra damage to characters that he is strong against, like we saw before. So Zeph, amazingly short cooldown. If you have him on a fighter team, you basically use his special whenever you need it, and it will be ready again by the time you need to use it again. We have Pudding, who doesn't work on Sanji's team. Poor Pudding. Pudding is a shooter, cerebral quick character. Doesn't work with Sanji. Boosts attack of all characters by 2 times, boosts their health. If you don't attack with Pudding, reduces damage taken by 20% for that turn. Not going to be using her as a captain often. She reduces paralysis on herself by 5 turns. If she has a quick orb and you hit a perfect, you get to keep your quick orb. Special ability changes all orbs on all characters into Pudding's orb. That means if Pudding has a block orb, she'll give you all block orbs. If Pudding has a rainbow orb, she gives you all rainbow orbs. Heals 5,000 health and reduces damage taken by 80% for 1 turn. And also reduces duration of Bind, Despair, and damage taken buff by 4 turns. Remember how I said that increased damage taken isn't a debuff that we see a lot? All I'm saying is that we have now seen reduced increased damage taken buff by a few turns on several characters now. So I'm not saying that Bandai is hinting at a future fight that might increase our damage taken, but I am definitely 100% saying that on either Cracker or Opera, you're going to be seeing that debuff. You can bet on that, my friends. We have Tamago, who is a Dex fighter free spirit. Captain ability boosts attack of fighters by 275 if they have matching orb, 2.5 otherwise. If you have more than 50% health, boosts attack of fighters by 125. That's a pretty big attack boost. Makes Dex orbs beneficial for fighter characters. Great as a sub. This sailor ability, anytime you see this sailor ability, anytime you see a sailor ability that makes blank orbs beneficial for characters, that's going to be a very useful special. That is like, even if the character is bad, having that sailor ability makes that character very useful on your teams. He deals 75 times his attack in dex damage to all enemies that will pierce through barriers. If the captain is a fire character, changes all orbs, including block orbs, into matching orbs. So guaranteed fully matching orbs on fighter characters and some damage that pierces through. So fully matching orbs, always going to be useful as an orb manipulator. Peckham's int fighter powerhouse character. Captain ability is a zombie captain. A fighter zombie captain. You're not going to be using him with the Rocket Man ship, but you can use him with the Kuja ship. So we have another option for a Kuja ship captain. Reduces blind duration by 5 turns. As a sailor, it makes int ores beneficial for fighter characters. His special ability cuts health by 20% that will pierce through barriers and remove enemies' increased defense buff. Actually, like one of the better special abilities on a zombie captain. I know I'm thinking of zombie teams a lot, but I love zombie teams even though they're terrible and terrible and terrible, but I have a sweet spot in my heart for them. But 20% health cut, reduce blue buff completely is a big thing here, is that this will completely remove enemy blue buff. Really, really big on that part. That's it. Those are the new characters. Expect Charlotte, Opera, or Cracker to have increased damage duration or increased damage taken buff, and maybe also increased damage taken and on death damage, or increased damage taken and then a preemptive attack is the two things that you're probably going to see, so that way you're guaranteed to take damage. So you're gonna want to get rid of those buffs. Plan on getting rid of them. Plan on getting some of those characters. The new Sanji. Oh, let's actually look at the teams, right? So this is a team with double version 2 Sanji, double version 2 Sanji with a bunch of Psy fighters. Turn on their specials. Sanji, carrot for our orb boost. No, carrot for our conditional attack boost with a Vanderdecken ship, sorry. Luffy to increase our chain by a little bit, which actually does increase your damage by quite a bit with a Sanji team, and also give you a mini Sabo special. Koala as our affinity, as our orb booster, and Hina as our affinity booster. You can get some nice damage with a double Sanji team. Remember though that together, Sanji's 2 captains only give you a little bit of damage, so you have to really, really avoid hitting those grates. A single grate on this team will bring you from 65,000 damage down to 52,000 damage. That's 10 million damage. I know it's way more damage than someone's going to have health, but that is a lot of damage taken as soon as you hit 1 grate. So be very, very careful. If you're not comfortable with hitting perfects, you're losing a lot of damage by using your Sanjis and missing attacks. So here's a double judge team. Double judge, super evolved. I'm sorry, million, not thousand. A double judge super evolved with all of his super evolved kids. Judge now is our type booster and not our orb booster. We have our blue ranger who's now our chain locker, our red ranger who's now our orb booster. I'll just turn everyone's special on. Everyone's specials get turned on. Pretty solid damage all around. Judge always very good at being a well-rounded team. Still gonna be very good at being a well-rounded team. Should you super evolve your characters? Absolutely, highly recommended. I'm going to keep 2 copies of each one of these characters. So I'm going to keep a Psy Judge and a Purple Judge. I'm going to keep a Psy Beige and an Int Beige. I'm just going to have to pull an extra copy of each of these characters. So if you have extra copies of characters around, I would recommend keeping 2 copies of each, so that way you can use them on different teams as different color characters. Otherwise, great, well-rounded team. I've been Zenigami, guys. Bunch of new characters, bunch of new stuff. Sorry if you missed out on these videos. I missed you too. Thank you so much for watching. Y'all stay beautiful.